Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you guys had a great weekend. Going to turn that off right there, and looks like everything is situated. Looks like I've got a few people in the chat that I've never seen before. Welcome, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. You get me Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. If things work out, if all the planets align properly, and all the dots and the T's are crossed and things like that. But let's see. We're going to go and start with the on the Rumble side here. Looks like Andy Pearson was first, and you've got the real Patriot Medic. He was number 2, and Hicktown Honey was the 3rd. We also got Blaine over here and Good Boys Guild. Good to see you guys. Good to see you. I'm going to fix that chat so I can see all of your words. There we go. All right, let's see. And then over there on the YouTube side, Jordan was first. Rose was number 2, West Virginia Pappy. I'm not seeing you as omnipresent, but that's A-okay. You were the 3rd. We got Bradley Collins, who was the inspiration for my short yesterday, where the woman freaks out. Let's see. We got Bob Pita. We got Jamie Johnson, Southern Tier Prepper, Billy King. Hello, Billy. Don't recognize you. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let's see. You got Spags in the house. What's up? What's up, guys? There we go. And Billy King is like, yeah. Let's see what else we got. Got a few more things in. Got the old Viking Queen, Billy Jack Lever. Gotcha, bro. Gotcha. Achieve that YouTube moment. I got you, bro. Currently, Rumble is kicking YouTube's butt, 24-11. But I'll let you know what's going on around halftime. If you guys don't know what that is, you don't hang out here enough. All right, yeah, the coffee's good. Let's see here. Well, someone got a fancy. What are you talking about? I've been using this mic like forever. This is the spit guide. Been using this microphone forever. Let's see here. Matter of fact, I've been using this microphone so long, it was from the old location. It was from the location before the location. But yeah, let's see here. I'm on time for a change. Gotcha, Jamie. Good to see you. Anarchy's in the house. Nice. Looks like things are coming along. It's still 24-11, YouTube. YouTube, you're not doing the things right. Okay, so let's see here. Before we get started, obviously we need to talk about prepstock.net, Nebo, North Carolina, October 12th through the 13th, with a follow-up lunch at 10 a.m. on the 14th before you head out. It's right next to the highway, so you really have no excuses. What are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to be talking about lots of prepper things. We've got lots of very educated speakers, and we've got some super kick butt sponsors who are going to be giving away. Well, we're going to be doing it. We get all the happy joy stuff. They just get all the name recognition, but that's what they're giving it to us for. So, and if you haven't heard, we've got Grail online. We have the Grail, the holy grail of water filtration. We've got them. They've joined the team, and it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. Ian, good morning to you, my friend. Good to see you guys. Now we're 12. Now we're 23-12. I guess Ian moved. I don't know. Okay, so now that we've done the ritualistic prep stock self-promotion, which is always necessary, let's see. So briefly, we'll talk about the YouTube short that I made. I also put it on pretty much all the platforms that are short centric, just to see what would happen. I haven't checked out the Clapper, but it normally does. Things normally do pretty good over there. But basically, this it's a Bradley had sent me he posted it in the Discord chat in the Just for Fun section, I think. Which it was hilarious. It was absolutely hilarious, where this kid has he's faking his mom out and making her believe that like the emergency response system is kicked in, and they're watching like the nation being told that aliens are invading, and she is freaking out. The thing that I noticed about it after I watched it about 10 times and was laughing my butt off was that she was saying lots of things that non-preppers would be saying. That it's like they knew down deep in their guts, where they keep their brandy and their aspirins, that they should have some form of preparedness. And it just came flowing out of this woman once she realized that the aliens were attacking, that this was a real emergency. Some of the key words that she said were what is it? We don't have, aren't we supposed to have some kind of wind up thingy? And we don't have, she was screaming at the top of her lungs at her husband that we don't have anything we need for this emergency. She's trying to call her relatives. She's trying to get, tell them to change the channel to watch what was happening. She's trying to warn people. So like no comm plan. We talked about that last week. I mean, no supplies, no preparations whatsoever, just sitting in their plush living room watching TV, and the world crumbled around this woman. Now, it was funny to watch, but those keywords. So what I did was I cut it down so it would be just 1 minute long. But hopefully it got enough people's attention. If you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, make sure you guys go back and check that out. It's not hard to find on my YouTube Shorts. So let's see. Bradley says, man made it back. Man made it back. Only missed 5 minutes. Oh, I got you. Okay, I got you. Okay, so yeah, if you get a chance to check that video out, definitely go do it. All right, so we did the prep stock. We did that. All right. Now, fancy thumbnail. There was lots of dinosaurs when I made it, but none of it was noteworthy. It was just the algorithm freaking out. But a prepper's decision to bug out typically hinges on a range of critical triggers. So I made a list of them. And it was interesting because the list like morphed into something else. Like I needed more information on 2 of the major triggers that might trigger somebody to bug out. And that's something that we often think about. We often talk about. It's like, when do I go? When do I go? When do I grab my bag? When do I load the car up? When do I attach the trailer full of 3 years worth of supplies? When do I do that? What's that trigger point? And here's the thing, for everybody, it's going to be completely different. Okay. Maybe it would be the same for your neighbors or your neighborhood or your region or whatever it may be, but for others, it will be completely different. They'll decide what they're going to do, when they're going to do it. But I made a list and I want to share it with you guys. And I think it's actually pretty straightforward, So we're going to go ahead and sip a little coffee here. It feels like the voice is leveling out. Spag says, ha, ha, ha. I've seen that video. Yes. That video is it was absolutely hilarious. It's like 3.5 minutes long. What a pain in the butt to cut it down and edit it so that it actually, maybe there was a teachable moment there for somebody. So, all right. So we're going to go ahead and get into this, guys. Shut up, phone. Nothing. All right. So first things first, guys. Natural disasters. Good morning, Debbie. Good to see you. Natural disasters, if there are people out there that live in these zones where natural disasters occur annually, then either move or, advance pay on your burial plot, because it would just be stupid not to have a trigger to know when to get out. Mine was hurricanes, which is top of the list. Their imminent or projected path towards one's location. In today's day of technology, man, people just watch the news. You got the NOAA website, NOAA hurricane. You got everything. It tells you the when and the wheres, basically when to go or why. You have to, I guess, use a little bit of logic. The next thing is earthquakes. Significant seismic activity or aftershocks that are threatening structural integrity. It's like, how do you predict an earthquake? You can't, kind of. But if you know that it's time to go, that it's time to go. There were people, the first earthquake that I ever felt, I was actually in recruiter school in San Diego. And it was that earthquake in 94 that like dropped all of the pillars in the upper decks of the highway. I was in a barracks room and all I remember was sleeping. And, it felt like I was in a hammock in the wind, and I was just bouncing around. And next thing I know, my roommate, who is from San Diego, he's waking me up saying, get up, we got to get out. We got to get out. And that was the trigger moment. Boom, you start shaking, get out of the building, So, but it happened so fast. I think it was like a 7.3, but it happened so fast that we never had time to leave the room, because it was just like roar, 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 and then we get up, and then, you know, if it was going to take us out, it would have done it, you know, because we were still in the room. But that's the kind of thing we're talking about when we speak about earthquakes. Wildfires, guys, wildfires. Don't forget forest fires. No, wildfires. You know, the proximity to uncontrolled wildfires and high winds. High winds, man, I am not awake. Blah, blah, blah. And you know, wildfires are extremely dangerous. And if you've never seen one of these things move, it will scare the pants off you. They can move so fast and cover so much ground so quickly that you think you're just watching this thing and it's going to be safe and it's fine, you know, or you think you have plenty of time, and you don't. So you should definitely be thinking about that. Flooding, severe flood warnings, or actual rapid water level rise. You know, in a lot of places where people die from flooding, they've decided that everything will be okay and that there's no reason to leave. And then you see their house floating down. You see their house floating past the camera on CNN. And so flooding can be very dangerous. And there should be some natural disaster triggers that have to do with flooding that you might need to think about, that you should think about if you live in a floodplain. Okay, so those are the boring ones, guys. Those are the ones that we never think about, because either we take them for granted, or we don't actually think that they are a threat. So next one, civil unrest. This is one that scares us a little bit, and we're going to talk about that one a little bit later as well. The two that I really want to talk about are economic collapse and civil unrest, and I've got some details on those once we get through the bulletized stuff. With civil unrest, you know, you've got riots and large protests. There comes that first yawn of the day. Oh, yeah. Oh, got a drink. All right, riots and large protests. Any nearby large-scale civil disturbance or violent protest could easily overflow into your neighborhood. Could trap you someplace if you're just trying to get from point A to point B on the road. Next thing you know, you're surrounded by people and they're all mad at you because you have a purple Hyundai. You know, I don't know. They're just, you cannot know what's in these people's minds. You cannot know what their agenda is. Their agenda may just be to cause as much hate and discontent as possible, and you just happen to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. So with that, and then there's also looting, you know, widespread theft and chaos within approaching one's community, you know. So looting, obviously, that normally takes place in a business district, but, you know, there's nothing saying when things get bad that the looting might start in your neighborhood, and that could be a trigger for you to get out. And hopefully you would have a bug out location or a place that you can go to. All right, so what we got here? We got Rose says something in the chat, and this looks like it's referring to flooding. Before moved, checked for signs of high water level markings. Won't knowingly live in a high possible earthquake area. Live in the Midwest. Yes, we have tornadoes, but none strike heavier near us to this day. Gotcha, Rose. I've got you. But yes, that's one of the things that I will tell people when I speak in the business, you know, that are talking about things. They ask about flooding. I tell them this area is on high ground, but if you want to know how high the last flood was, go down to this place and look at that fence. Because everybody knows where that mark is. They put little dates next to it, that kind of stuff. Okay, so and then number 3 would be economic collapse. Now, why would I run away because of economic collapse? Because it causes a lot of problems. It's cyclical. It goes down these steps until all hell breaks loose. So, you know, first thing is bank runs. You know, mass withdrawals from banks leading to closures or restrictions. You know, or possibly a stock market crash. Sudden and severe decline in stock market triggering financial panic. You know, right now the stock market is very connected to the banks right now, and it's not supposed to be, but they're doing this stuff. People will take a lot of, well, let's just talk about your 401k for a half a second. Stock market crashes. What happens to all your money? Boom, it's gone. All the money in your 401k, it's gone. If you don't believe me, remember all the stock problems we had in 2008 under Obama? You remember that? Everybody and their mother telling me about how I should have a 401k, and look at all mine. Every day they're managing their 401k, and they're just like they're just guys, freaking twisting their hands over their honey pat, waiting for the day that they can cash it out. And then, like, in weeks, it was almost all gone. So things to think about. I think bank runs is probably the priority on the economic collapse part, because once people can't get money, they will start to freak out. They'll start to freak out. Specifically, if they know that something on the economy has happened and they all decide to go take their money out, and then, well, not everybody, but a good amount of people decide to go take their money out, and then the bank starts limiting things, then word gets around that they're limiting things, and everybody shows up, then they close the doors. Yeah, and that's how that works. What we got here? Bradley says, my brother-in-law, they got robbed. I had said something in the Discord about they got $3,500 of meat and left the vegetables. Yeah, that's where the money is. So if you guys didn't know this, Bradley is he's in our Discord. He's also one of the Patreons, and we communicate in the Patreon and as well as the Discord every day. It's a very tight knit community. Something you might want to look into. He was telling us a story about how his brother-in-law he parked his semi. He's a truck driver, and he parked his semi truck in a paid lot. It's supposed to have security and everything. And he woke up to like 5 cars and like 20 dudes blocking him in, so he couldn't get away, and emptying out the back of his semi truck. And all he could do was sit there and call the cops, which didn't even show up for 30 minutes. So, there's stuff is happening, guys. Stuff is happening. I think that it's time to be, very aware of our surroundings, following that 45-second rule at the local Walmart, things of that nature. So I think the time is rapidly coming up on us, where everything that we've been preparing for, we're going to have to go operational with. Okay, so something to think about. Let's see here. Number 4, pandemics and disease outbreaks. High mortality rate diseases, rapidly spreading disease with significant death rate or virulence. Also, quarantines, imposition of quarantines or lockdowns in the area. So basically, with this one right here, it might be time to go if you feel like they're about to lock down your neighborhood, or they're about to say time to stay home. That might be the time to go. It might be. So think about that when you're thinking about your bug out triggers. Another one is government actions, aka martial law. The declaration of martial law, which increased military presence and curfews. I think that the whole I think martial law for us here in America would have more to do with civilian law enforcement than military, because there's just not enough of them to lock down places. So also forced evacuations. The government orders a mandatory evacuation due to some kind of threat. That could be a trigger for you, and you'd literally be doing what they wanted you to do, but you also wouldn't be getting hoarded into some camp someplace for your safety. Let's see here. Power grid failure, an extended blackout, prolonged power outage with no immediate resolution, affecting essential services. We all know that when the power goes out, people get a little stupid. It takes about 24 hours to 3 days before they start losing their damn minds. You might not want to be there when that happens. All right, let's see here. And then we've got resource shortages. And this one's kind of a broad base because it links into a lot of other things. It's right up in there with those systemic ideals. So with resource shortages, water shortages, critical shortage of potable water in the area. If your trigger, if things are not going great, and then all of a sudden water stops coming out of the spigots, and you haven't really planned for that, then that could definitely be a trigger to leave. Remember the rule of 3s. Also, a food shortage, of lack of access to food supplies, or Severe rationing could be a thing too. Maybe it's time to leave this place for a better place. Another thing could be, and obviously nuclear and radiological events. You know, maybe there was a nuclear accident where a nearby plant, started to melt down, and a significant radiological release. So you definitely would not want to be there. Just move away from the green stuff. And then obviously a nuclear attack, a threat or actual detonation of a nuclear weapon in proximity, which means, hey, they just hit that base over there and we need to go in the opposite direction. All right, let's see here. Invasion or war, military actions, the proximity to active combat zones, including invasions or attacks. That's kind of common sense there. If the battle's going down south, you go north. Where we at here? Missile threat, imminent missile strike threats, or confirmed attacks. That one's a little hard to deal with, but it's something that's on the list. We got here, and then we've got severe environmental or industrial hazards. Maybe there was a chemical spill. We've all watched the news and seen this happen. Large scale hazardous chemical spill or an industrial accident. Basically environmental pollution. It's what they would consider acute pollution, an acute pollution event, making the area uninhabitable. IG or EG, toxic air or water contamination, that kind of thing. And then some basic considerations. Location and the nature of the threat. The proximity to the trigger event. And its immediate danger level, also duration and safety, expected duration and impact of the situation on essential services and personal safety. And then lastly, preparedness, the availability of supplies, gear, and a viable plan for relocating and survival. So those are all the basic triggers. Okay, I'm going to go to the chat real quick here. Let's see here. Spag said EMP. Yep, that's what we're talking about, that nuclear radiological event. And where are we at here? What is that? What is that, Bradley? Middle strike. I think the best bet is to stay put as long as you're not in high population density area or next to a base. Yeah, I mean, it's situational. I would think the first step would be to know where there was a possibility of a strike, okay, and to have a plan to do what you're going to do. Maybe you can be safe where you are. I mean, I'm staying put as long as I can because this is where I keep my stuff, but I'm also going to be ready to go if I need to go. So, yep, it's that. All right, so there's a couple of situations that are more prevalent than others. Dumb autocorrect. I got you, bro. I was reading between the lines. There are, you know what? Before we do this, hold on a second. I gotta do something. I gotta do something, guys. We're gonna go with we haven't done this one in a while. EMP Shield, guys. EMP Shield. We're gonna do a little bit of prep stock self promotion. EMP Shield, guys. We were just talking about nuclear strikes and the possibilities, and oh my God, and Spags even said EMP. So, yeah, if that were to happen, do you have a plan? I do. I'm going to get in my vehicle and I'm going to drive away. If my girlfriend's at work, she's going to get in her vehicle and she's going to drive to me. So there is a plan, but none of that is possible without the EMP Shield device that's inside of our vehicles. They're not cheap. I'll tell you that right now. But I can tell you that if you use the code LocalPrepper, you'll get $50 off. And that is a huge chunk of change. So, guys, here's what you do. Go to EMP Shield. It could be EMPShield.com. Don't trust me. I'm a little slow this morning. There is a link in the description. And they're also the one of the biggest sponsors of Prep Stock. They've given us, I don't know, about $1.5 grand worth of gear to give away to the people who show up at Prep Stock. So, yeah, that is done. $50. LocalPrepper, all one word, is the code, and you should use it so that you can save some money and have the ability to just drive away. Okay, so we did that, and now what I want to talk to you about is the two big ones that I picked out from that list that I think are the most realistic and also, unfortunately, the most possible. The first one is bugging out during civil unrest. And, it's a crucial decision that preppers often plan for or should be planning for, and within that, what I did was I sat down, thought about it, identified 5 common triggers that might prompt a prepper or a person to leave their current location because of civil unrest. Now, the first one was widespread breakdown of law and order. Okay. And this is where we get a little bit more into the details, because up to this point, I've just been speaking in generalities, because every situation is going to be different. But in this one, we can talk about what they call the indicator and the reason. All right. Or what I'm calling the indicator and reason. Now, with widespread breakdown of law and order, the indicator would be local authorities are overwhelmed or absent. And this is resulting in rampant looting, violence, or criminal activities. Now, the reason: the lack of law enforcement can lead to a dangerous environment where personal safety cannot be guaranteed. Basically, the scenario has gotten so bad that there's no chance of anybody ever coming to your rescue at all. Hell, you may be the only one left on your block because you sat too long. But the reality is that law and order, it's not really, law and order is not really about the police. Law and order is about it's about a mentality. It's about a thought. It's about a belief that everything is going to be fine because the other people around me are following the rules of law and order. But in this particular case, that's not happening anymore. And maybe it's time for you to go. That could very well be a trigger for you. And I could see that being a trigger for many, many people. What are we doing in the comments over here? Good morning, Nick. Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. Well, let's see here. Number 2, the escalation of violent protests, and we're still in the civil unrest section, guys. So, escalation of violent protests or riots, and the indicator could be protests that have turned violent. Reports of clashes between groups, or the use of weapons, or the destruction of property. And then the reason for that would be such conditions can quickly spiral out of control, posing a direct threat to individuals in the area. And that's what I was just telling you earlier about, hey, you were just trying to get from point A to point B, and this crowd just kind of surrounded your car they came out of nowhere. You weren't even anywhere near the protests, but somehow they made it to you, and now you and your purple Hyundai are the targets of their vindication. So that could be an indicator right there that maybe it's time to go, when we start talking about civil unrest. And then we've got severe supply chain disruptions. An indicator: critical shortage of food, water, medical supplies, and other essentials due to civil unrest affecting supply chains. Yeah, guys, I hate to tell you this, but when they have these riots, because a protest is scheduled, a protest has a permit. When they have everything other than that is a riot. And when these riots start to get out of control, they start tearing stuff up. Well, guess what? The food trucks don't show up. They don't go to Walmart when the Walmart's getting tagged or set on fire, or there's 5,000 people outside who are pissed off about some subject that has nothing to do with Walmart or your neighbor. So the trucks stop showing up, and medical supplies stop showing up, and essentials stop showing up until that's taken care of. And then they can analyze if it's even safe to bring it in, and do we need security? Was the building damaged too much? Would it be better if we just sent these supplies to these food stocks to another Walmart, because we know that there's a good chance that they're just going to come back, So there are things to think about as far as getting out of town that are a little bit more than that. Now, the reason is because extended shortages can lead to desperation and increased risk of theft or violence as people struggle to obtain the necessities. And yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. Time to drink. Let's see here. Bradley says, All American Prepper showed up. Good to see you, bro. Bradley says, if I'm the only one in my neighborhood due to civil unrest, I think I'd feel relieved. Maybe you're the only one left. Catitude showed up. Good morning, young lady. Good to see you. All right. So, and then when we start talking in more detail about mandatory evacuation orders, an indicator of that would be the government or emergency services issue an evacuation order to the government issue an evacuation order due to the inability to ensure safety. And the reason would be the official evacuation orders often come after careful assessment of risks and should be heeded to avoid entrapment in hazardous areas. This could be anything. This could be, I think the best example of this is the hurricane is coming. We know it's going to smash this place. You guys need to go. We're going to give you an evacuation order and you need to be out by this time so that you don't get trapped there, because EMS will not be responding to you if you call 911. It's that kind of thing. Where are we at here? And then there's the really scary one, and that is the targeting of specific groups or communities. We saw this. I'm trying to remember. I think it was in Atlanta where we had that man and the woman standing their ground. He had an old M16 and she had a little 308, and the gun nuts tried to come after them afterwards for standing their ground, because they weren't just going to let these people show up and destroy their house. I don't know if you guys remember that one. So, but it does happen. It does happen. And so let's go back to the title again: targeting of specific groups or communities. And an indicator of that would be reports or evidence of specific groups being targeted for their ethnicity, political beliefs, or other identifiers. And the reason to go would be targeting can lead to persecution or violence against those people, making it critical for affected individuals to relocate to avoid them. And to close up on that particular one, which was the people are going crazy. These triggers, they serve as warning signs, guys. That's why I gave it to you in that format: the indicator and then the reason to go. Okay. So these triggers serve as warning signs that the situation has deteriorated to a level where staying in place is no longer safe or viable. Each prepper's response is going to vary depending on their circumstances, or available resources and specific threat assessments. So you guys need to take what I just said with a grain of salt, and remember that everybody has a different situation. Now, if you guys have a situation, I mean, you guys are listening intently. I can tell the chat is almost not even like, no one's giving me their opinion right now, which, I think is actually kind of cool, because it kind of tells me that you're actually like listening, like somebody's like telling you this is what you look for and this is when you go, is basically what I'm trying to extend to you. Obviously the situation is going to dictate, and yeah. Let's see here. Hickdown Honey says, I could see it while traveling to the city. Yeah, I got you. Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. All right. Okay, let's see here. We've got one more thing, one more detailed indicators, and that's going to be for economic collapse, which has so many variables. But what we did was we sat down and just tried to figure out what would be the identifier and what would be the reason for you to go. All right. So, and then before we do that, guys, here's what I want to throw at you. I want to throw at you. Let's see who's. I really wish I had more. Man, I thought I had. I'm missing overlays. This is interesting. I need to do something about this. Okay, well, I guess I'm going to do Augustin Farms today. And the reason I'm going to do them is because their template's not missing from my software. So Augustin Farms, guys, listen, Augustin Farms, I buy all their food in number 10 cans. I believe that your food, that food that is that 20-year stored in a cool, dry place kind of food is the same food that you can actually eat every day if you really figure out how to do it. And it's really not that difficult. You just have to one extra step, and that's rehydrate. So, and that takes nothing. But anyway, so I eat the food, and for me, the food has got to be good, because I don't want to get food boredom if I have to start living off this stuff. and it's got to taste good out of the can. It's got to do exactly what it's, for me, Ogden Farms is much like a Gluck. I guess I have the same mentality. It's got to work out of the box every time, no questions asked. And that's what they actually do. There's a code on there for you, LocalPrepper, all one word. It'll take $10 off your purchase. Remember what I tell you about these purchases: to buy one thing and then use the code. I don't know that there's a dollar amount associated with whatever you're buying that it has to reach before the code is effective, but we play with it a little bit. I have seen times where the code works with other codes to save you even more money. It has worked in the past. Normally it's like a BOGO or it's like something simple. But anyway, LocalPrepper, all one word. There's a link in the description, $10 off. So if you're going to buy like 3 cans, buy 1 can, $10 off. Buy 2 cans, $10 off. You know, see what I'm saying? Separate purchase. It's going to save you a lot of money. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump off that and on to template 3, which is this one right here. And finally, let's talk about, which is always, everything to me leads to money. Everything that is all the bad stuff that can happen to us, it always leaches into money. Oh, here we go. So, in the context of preparing for an economic collapse, bugging out refers to evacuating one's home and retreating to a safer, predetermined location, and what I want to do is share with you 5 key triggers that might prompt a prepper to bug out during that type of crisis. And you're like, oh, why would I run away during an economic collapse? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. 1, hyperinflation and currency collapse. When hyperinflation skyrockets, rendering the national currency worthless, it signals a deep economic instability, and essentials like food and fuel become unaffordable, and traditional finance systems are going to break down. If hyperinflation spirals out of control with no signs of stabilization, it might be time to bug out to locations where your resources have been stockpiled. Maybe you're keeping a bunch of food and water and gas in grandma's garage. There's no telling, but you definitely need to have a plan, obviously. And this would be one of the reasons to go. The next thing we talked about earlier was widespread bank failures, a wave of bank failures that would lead to a run on banks, and the collapsing of financial institutions can result in the loss of savings and inability to access cash or even digital funds. If this situation leads to civil unrest or the imposition of stringent financial controls that limit personal freedom and access to resources, preppers might need to decide to leave. It's when you're starting to talk about economy crash, hyperinflation, it's all gone so bad. There's no every nation that has ever gone to hyperinflation normally falls apart. I think Zimbabwe is a classic example of that. They stuck around. They were able to hold it together. Venezuela, people are all in poverty there now because of the way the cost of everything. It's so insane. That's why they call it hyperinflation. Just take what we're experiencing now and times that by 100, if not 1,000. Then you had the old Germany. I'm trying to remember. Somebody put it in the chat. I can't remember the name of it. It's like the Weimar province or something like that. Basically they had piles and piles and piles of cash because a loaf of bread was 1,000 whatever. It's pretty crazy, the numbers that they're using. All right, let's see here. Next problem that's directly associated with the economy. When supply chains, it's going to be severe shortages of essentials. Okay. When the supply chain breaks down, causing acute shortages of food, water, and medicine and other essentials, it can lead to widespread panic, looting, and social unrest. Preppers may want to bug out if they see prolonged and severe shortages make it impossible to sustain life. When the bread lines are closed, it's over. It's absolutely over. You should not be there. So you might want to contemplate bugging out. Looks like oops, showed up. Good to see you, bro. And let's see here. All America Prepper says, I feel when you bug out, you just become a survivalist. Yeah, to an extent, that's very true. Unless you have a location, unless you have a bug out location that you're going to. All right, let's see here. Oh, there we go. Oops says they have to con before they control. Never heard that one, but that's it's not a bad catchphrase. All America Prepper says, I feel when you bug out, you just become you put it in there twice. You said it twice. Okay, so we're going to move on to escalating crime and civil unrest. All right, guys. Wow, it's 24-24, guys. The score is great. Presently bugging in. Yeah, and you should. I'm not telling you to have a plan to immediately bug out as soon as you smell the fart. I'm saying the fart might go away, and it's always good to be where your stuff is as long as you can be. All right, so escalating crime and civil unrest. In the face of economic collapse, crime rates often surge as law enforcement struggles to maintain order. Widespread civil unrest, riots, or the breakdown of social norms can make urban or suburban areas completely unsafe, prompting preppers to move to a more secure location and isolate, or maybe a more isolated location. Where I am, I'm in the middle of a town. I call it the city. I know it's not a city. I've been in a city before. Anyway, but this, I would probably want to move away from this location, and I've made plans to go to a different location if things were to get bad, because while where I live is defendable, the area around it is not, and nobody would want to be where I am because it's more of like a business district. So let's see here. Where are we at here? Number 5. Let's see. Government crackdowns and martial law. We talked about that a little bit. In extreme cases of economic collapse, governments may impose martial law, curfews, or other restrictive measures that limit personal freedoms and movement. If such measures are perceived as overly oppressive or indicative of a failing state, preppers might decide that it's time to evacuate to avoid potential persecution or entrapment. And the idea behind this is that if you feel like, hey, they just did a lockdown, and now the cops are going door to door telling you stay in or you'll be shot, or you know what I'm saying? It's just overly like, get off my property, and they don't want to play. And it might be time to leave. It might be time to have another place to go to. Now, considerations for bugging out. Okay, one time. You know what? Let me check the chat. I think there was something in there. Let's see here. Living in 1984. Good to see you, bro. I feel like the government are pushing the public to unrest with food prices. The government is pushing unrest because it's an election year, and what they have to do is they have to create a problem that they can instantly fix with no effort whatsoever. If you guys haven't figured this out, our government creates problems and then swoops in to try to be the savior. People are seeing through that now. People have figured out that they're doing this stuff. So yeah, that's happening. Oops says there are more of us than there is of them. Absolutely true. I'm 100% believer. Don't tread on me. There won't be any problems. Let's see here. Rose says basically rural is a little safer, but can cause other issues as well. Yes, absolutely. The good news is rural means that if you're paying attention, you can see them coming, and you can win, and you can do what you need to do, but in the city, you can't see them coming. And there's a lot more of them. Let's see here. There's actually something in the Rumble. Wow, guys, thank you. Let's see. Andy says it would be like being organized civil unrest, like the BLM mostly peaceful riots. Yeah, I think something like that. But I mean, that's not a reason to go unless you think you're going to be part of it and you don't want to be, Oops says be invisible. All right, so back to considerations for bugging out. All right, so one, timing. Early evacuation is often safer, but requires a clear signals and decisive action. And this is the biggest problem with bug out triggers. It's like you have to be able to clearly define what that tripping mechanism is, what that event is that makes you grab your stuff, get in your car, and drive away. You have to clearly define that. And then you have to be constantly reevaluating it because situations change. Preparedness. Having a well thought out plan and a stocked bug out location is obviously going to be crucial. I tell people that you shouldn't be bugging out unless you have some place to go. It's that easy. And a plan to get there is that easy. But this video is about triggers. So knowing what those triggers are and when to execute is the key thing here. So next is safety and accessibility. So the chosen bug out location should be safe, accessible, and well equipped to handle long-term survival. So basically, you shouldn't be going to your sister's house because she lives on the outskirts of town and then try to rebuild your life there, because it may not go well. You need to have a place that has everything that you need, and it needs to be planned out very well. Okay, so with that said, understanding these triggers and preparing accordingly helps ensure that the decision to bug out is made thoughtfully and effectively in response to escalating economic crisis. All right, so I'm going to go to the chats right now. Let's see here. Hickdown Honey says, scopes be handy in the country. Absolutely. And knowing how to use them is very important. Let's see here. Bradley says, see that state of, where are we at here? See that state of Oklahoma is about to start using something over jib jab. Gotcha. I haven't really seen that. I haven't really paid. Guys, if you didn't know this, I've stopped making these videos where about all the stuff that's happening in the world because I'm not going to regurgitate the news for anybody. I've stopped doing that. I do some lives where it's all basically opinion and talking about the world and things like that. But I've kind of really moved away from that because it's not productive. We should be, and I should be, my goal is to help you in your preparedness journey, wherever it takes you. It's my goal to help you to be as prepared as possible. And if it's just me here every day telling you prepare. Why? Because stuff happens. Because of the video that I showed, the short that I put out yesterday, where a woman was absolutely freaking out, realizing. And here's the thing. I hope that this lady, not to make fun of her, because it was absolutely hilarious. I hope that this sparked this woman's desire to be more prepared. Because if she is, then she can take her family to be more prepared. She can get Gordo to be more prepared, even though Gordo, I don't know that Gordo was in on the joke, but all the people that she was trying to call, maybe they can get them. Maybe they can fill their pantries. Maybe they can have more water in the house than what's in the spigot. Maybe they'll have the ability to actually protect themselves in some, because this woman was clearly a sheep, 100% sheeple, so hopefully she learned something of that, and hopefully you guys learned something from the video as well. Let's see here. That short was hilarious. Shake sheeple. Gotcha. I'll find it and share it in the Discord. Good to go. Let's see. I think that's going to be about it, guys. We're running up on that 1 hour mark, and I've got places to be and things to do, or people to do and places to thing. One of those things is going to happen when I'm done here. So as usual, guys, do me a favor. On your way out the door, at the minimum, hit that thumbs up button or whatever it is on the Rumble side. And if you're here for the first time, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I try to be here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And shared my preparedness ideas with you. Also, if you really want to help, there are links in the description. And yeah, go forward and do good things. For my Patreons, I shall see you all in the Patreon. For my Discord people, I shall see you all in the Discord. I think that's going to be about it, guys. And as usual, stay safe. Have a great day. And I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.